Hey everybody, how's it going? Yogurt here. Hope you're all doing well and having a fantastic day, night, afternoon, evening, whatever it happens to be for you, wherever you happen to be and whenever you happen to be watching this. I hope you're doing well and staying safe and healthy out there. Welcome to my basic Gwent tutorial. Actually my first tutorial ever. This is going to be a basics on how to play the game and generally what the different cards do, what they mean, explanations of different types of decks and factions, which all that may not make sense if you don't know anything about the game yet, but it will if you continue to watch through the video. I'm not getting into much of anything related to strategy or a whole lot of actual gameplay in terms of teaching you how to win necessarily in this video. This is just going to be a video that's teaching you the basics of the game and generally how to play. That way, if you've never played the game before and you would like to, you can actually have an idea of how to go ahead and play, and also if you're just watching and not playing, you're not going to be so confused while you're watching the streamer or whoever's playing the game play. So again, just want to give people a general understanding of how to play the game and how it all works, and then if everybody enjoys this and gives me feedback indicating that they would like another one, I will go ahead and do a follow-up video that is more of a how to play to win, a strategy guide. I can even probably do a series on it because there's a lot of varying strategy out there depending on how you want to play, depending on your deck, and etc, etc. So if you do enjoy this video, drop a like. If you haven't already, do subscribe so you get notified when I do go live or post new videos. And more importantly, do let me know what you think of this in the comments. If you like it, if you found it helpful, let me know. If you would like to see more tutorial videos, specifically a follow-up Gwent tutorial on more strategy and how to play to win, let me know that as well. If you don't, obviously let me know that as well. Try and be constructive. If you're going to be negative, at least tell me how to improve. But again, this is going to be the basic Gwent tutorial, so let's get going with it, shall we? On with some deck building. Let's get to it. Alright, getting started right here. We're getting into a game of Gwent. Before we get started with the game, let me explain just a little bit about how the game's played. It's a card game, obviously. If played in person, it would be, played on a tabletop. There are 4 different decks that you can use. You've got the Northern Realms, which is the one that you start off with, and, well, you technically start off with all 4. But you start off with this one having the most cards in it, and it's the first one that's actually viable to use, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. So you've got Northern Realms, Scoia'tael, Monsters, and Nilfgaardian Empire. So you or anyone you're playing can play as any of these 4, so you're not sure who your opponent's going to be playing as, but it does make a difference. So each faction has a faction ability, if you will. So if you're playing as Northern Realms, you draw a card from your deck whenever you win a round. There are 3 rounds of Gwent, so each time you win a round, if you win the round, you draw another card for your hand, and I'll get more into what that would mean later. If you're Scoia'tael, you decide who goes first at the beginning of the battle. Never really been a big fan of that one. I mean, I do prefer going second, but Monsters, 1 randomly chosen Monsters unit card stays on the battlefield after each round. So that's really nice because you automatically have a card in play. Now it's random, so it may be a good or a bad card from the last round, but you already start off with 1 card in play that you didn't have to pull from your hand because you had already played it, so it just stays on there. That's a nice thing. Nilfgaardian Empire, whoever wins, whenever there is a tie, Nilfgaard Empire automatically wins. Super handy. That's come to bite me more than once. So good to pay attention not only to what deck you're playing against because of potential play style involved, but also what that faction ability is going to be that they have. I really like the Northern Realms ability quite a lot. The Monsters is nice. I tend to find myself using Northern Realms, but that's usually because the deck's most viable. What I mean by that is you have to have at least 22 unit cards in your deck to be able to play. I believe it's 22. Yes, so 22 in your deck, then you can't use the deck. And by unit cards, that means a card that's actually able to do damage. It's a playable card versus a special card like this decoy here that I'll get into in a moment. or a special card that's highlighted like this, which has special, there's implications about those special cards as well. And they're indicated differently, so you've got that number of special cards, total cards in your deck, number of unit cards. Oh, I'm sorry, these are hero cards, the yellow ones, and number of hero cards. Total unit card strength, so that's the total strength of all your unit cards, again, these guys. The unit cards do have special abilities as well, and I'll get into that shortly also. But that's the basics of what the decks mean, what each faction means. Now, there are multiple leaders associated with each faction, so you can have different leader cards. So if we go to change leaders, and see I don't have them all yet, unlocked for the Northern Realms. So this one will pick an impenetrable fog from my deck and play it instantly. I'll explain what that card would mean. This one clears any weather effects. This one doubles the strength of all of my siege units. Again, I'll get more into what those mean. This one destroys your enemy's strongest ranged combat units if the combined strength of all of his ranges units is 10 or more. So these all have different implications. I'm not going to change my leader because I want to use that one. So it's good to know what yours is and know how to use it well, and also know what your enemy's is, because that can come back to bite you if you're not paying attention to what they have and then they use it on you. So, you've got, between the right side and the left side, you've got your entire card collection is what they're calling it. And here's your deck on the right, so this is what you're going to be pulling from for the cards in your hand. So these don't for once you're playing, these don't matter because they're not in your deck, so they're not going to get pulled into play on your side. Just what's over here. Now you can swap these out, and you do it strategically based on playstyle and strength and everything else. So mostly what's over here are just low-level cards. See, this is effectively is the damage they'll do to your opponent, or the strength of the card, in basic terms, and that can change based on some other parameters, but we'll get into that later. So that's the basics of the different factions, and then the decks, and then leader abilities, and then the different types of cards to a point. Now I mentioned on special cards, there are different kinds of special cards. This is a decoy. So this decoy card allows me to swap a card that I've already played in that particular hand, in that round rather, and pull it back into my hand and put this down. There are different strategic reasons you'd want to do that, but effectively you no longer have those points on the board for that round, but now you have the card back, and now you've replaced it with something that puts no points on the board. You've got your Commander's Horn. This doubles the strength of all the cards in the row on which you place it. That'll make more sense later. This Scorch card will destroy the most powerful cards on the board, both your enemies and yours, depending. It's kind of a wild card to use because it's difficult to determine what it's going to be. There are weather cards over here, which I've taken out of my deck. Biting Frost, Torrential Rain, and Impenetrable Fog. Each one of these will reduce all of the strength of each card in that row down to 1. Or if it's doubled from another special thing like this is on there, it'll take it down to 2. Now, it doesn't affect your hero cards. That's where the hero cards come into play. They're not affected by the negative status effects. They cannot be scorched by this card up here, etc. So that's how that's going to work. Clear Weather, if the enemy, or myself for that matter, plays a weather card, it's affecting me and I want to remove it, I can play a Clear Weather card and it will remove that weather effect. Now, some of your unit cards have these special indicators on them as well. So this one, for instance, on Dandelion has a Commander's Horn. Well, if I play that, this is going to indicate that he's a close combat. That just indicates the row that they're going to go on. If this is placed on that, everything apart from heroes is going to be doubled in strength. Everything that's close combat in that round. This one has the summon ability, so I have 2 of these cards. If I play this card, it's automatically going to pull the other card and play it at the same time, whether that card is in my hand or in my deck. Now, if it's out here just in my collection, not in my deck at all, it won't. But that's nice because it kind of gives you an extra card if they weren't both already in your hand. This one is a teamwork ability, so I have 2 of these, so it's worth 8 points on its own. However, if I play both of them in the same round on the same row, which you have to, then it will double their strength, so each one will be worth 16 as long as they're both played. These are spies. You play this and they actually get placed on your enemy's side and give them the points. However, they allow you to draw 2 more cards to your hand, so it's a trade-off. And obviously in the realm of the spies, this one's going to be the best because it's only going to give my enemy 1 points versus this one giving them 5 points. So, but either way, I'm going to get 2 cards. Tight Bond is actually the name of this one, and this is the same one. So this card's worth 4. I have 3. If I actually play all 3 in the same row, each one's going to be worth 12, so that's going to be 36 points. This one has the ability to... he's a medic. So when I play him, I can automatically play a card from my discard pile, so a card that was played in the previous round. So if you were to play this on round 1, it's going to do you no good because you've got no cards to pull from, but also another super handy card to have. So that gives you the rundown of the different types of cards that there are and how they're used a bit. So now we'll get into an actual game and go from there. But that's generally how the decks work, the leader cards work, kind of what they do. And now playing the game will make a little bit more sense once we get into that. So we'll get into an actual game now. Okay, so now we're into a game. And the couple of things started, so notice it said the opponent's leader canceled my leader. So I haven't had a chance to look at what my opponent's leader ability is, but obviously I know it cancels my leader ability, so there are no leader abilities in play. So I was going to get into the fact that my leader ability will double all of my siege units indicated by this here, on whichever of the 3 rounds of the game that I decide to play it. However, I don't have that. Luckily, I also don't have to look out for a leader ability from my opponent now because he has already exhausted his, so it evens the playing field in a roundabout sort of way. So now, we start off by having 10 cards that we've drawn that are randomly in our hand, and we can choose to redraw up to 2. We don't have to redraw any, so first we're going to look at our hand and see what we've got. So we've actually got a pretty good hand. So starting from the left, we have a decoy. Now again, remember the decoy, once we've played a card, not a spy, because we've played it on our opponent's board, so we couldn't decoy that spy. However, if they play one against us, we can decoy the spy and use it again. I'll get more into that later when it comes up. However, so if we play a card and then we decide we don't want to actually play it in that round, we can swap it out for the decoy and pull it back to our hand. Again, the spies, they get played on the opponent's board for the points value. However, then it automatically draws another 2 cards to our hand, so again it balances out. Now these indicators here indicate which of these rows that we will better see later our card goes on. That would be close combat, indicated by the sword, siege, indicated by the catapult, and then ranged, which would be indicated by a bow. We didn't draw any ranged cards. Actually, here we go, ranged indicated by the bow. So you can only play them on that particular row, and that matters for points accumulation and some strategy later. And we also drew 2 heroes, so again they're high point value, and again nothing can affect them in terms of they can't be removed from the playing field, I can't decoy them, things of that nature. Also, they can't be affected by negative weather status effects. So as it turns out, I'm not actually going to exchange any of these because I have a pretty good draw and I have 2 spies, so I'm going to get another 4 cards drawn once I play those anyway. So I'm going to hit enter, I'm sorry, don't hit enter, otherwise that would swap out my spy. I'm going to hit escape, which is, you can tell by the bottom controls, which will take me into the hand without swapping out any cards. So we'll get going. The round's starting. It flips a coin to say who goes first. In this case, the opponent goes first. He's playing a spy. So he has a really good spy. It's a hero spy. That means a couple of things. One, it doesn't give me any points. It just gives him the 2 cards, which is unfortunate for me. And 2, if you notice, I can't use my decoy on it. If it wasn't a hero and they had played a spy against me, I could use a decoy and pull it into my hand to play later if I wanted to. But I don't have that option, so I'm going to play one of my spies. Now you see I got 2 cards. He's playing another spy. So he got another 2 cards. I'm going to do the same thing and play my second spy and get another 2 cards as well. Now so far this is working out in my favor because we have even number of cards and his spies are giving me more points than my spies are to him, even though they're equal numbers of cards. So it's a positive thing. The other thing I can do is use my decoy and take one of the 3 spies that he's played against me and pull it back to my hand, and then I can play it later. So see, now he's going to go ahead and play his next card. Doesn't mean he's out of spies. I can play whichever cards I want. There are some limitations potentially later, but in this case, I'm going to go ahead and play this spy back, and yes, it gives him more points than me now, but I get another 2 cards, and I drew another spy. Now he's taking one of those spies back. He'll probably play it back on me, so we're playing the same strategy here. I haven't gotten into strategy, but that's how it's going. Ultimately, in the end, there are 3 rounds. Once both players pass, the round is over. Whichever one has the most points wins. Best 2 out of 3 wins. So again, very simple in its basic rules, but then when you get into the strategy and what the different cards potentially can do, it changes. Kind of like right now, we're in a little bit of a spy off, since I can't figure out a better way to put it. So it's interesting. Not much has truly happened in this game so far. But I'm not going to touch too much onto that, because then we're getting into more of the strategy again. So of course he played that one back on me, so now we're back to, I actually have 1 card up on him. He's got more points than I am. Again, he's Nilfgaardian Empire, so now I remember that Nilfgaard automatically wins ties, whereas I'm Northern Realms. Again, that's the faction of the deck that I'm using, so when I win a round, I get another card drawn to my hand. Usually when I play a lot of spies in the first round, I'm inclined to pass it because I've given them a lot of points and they've burned some of their cards. So I have more cards than they do, and there's no point in me burning them to catch up. In this case, we're 8 points away. I'm 1 card up on him. To me, it makes more sense to just kind of play this one out. So now I'm going to play this card right here that has the summon ability. So it's only worth 4, mind you, but I play it. And it pulled the other card out of my deck. Even though it wasn't in my hand, it pulled it out of my deck. So that card's worth 8 points anyway. And the really nice thing is, again, if they were both in my hand, then it would have pulled it out of my hand, but since it wasn't, it's almost like a free card. So again, I'm still a card up, and now I'm only 2 points down. And I'm not really trying to win here, I'm just trying to explain the game. So my thought now is I need to, again, get above him in points. And you do want to remember to conserve cards for future rounds, because if you run out of cards and they have a card, they're automatically going to win. So if I burn through all of my cards, win this round, but then I have no cards left, well, technically I'm going to draw another card. But say they have a few cards left, they're going to beat me in the next one. So, you've got to be mindful of your future rounds and where you're at there. So to demonstrate, actually I'm not going to do that yet, so I'm going to get a little bit above him in points and just play this one. And now see, you can notice how now it's making more sense. If they have this indicator, they're close combat and they have to be played in this row. If they have this indicator, then they're ranged combat, they have to be played in this row. If they've got the catapult, then they're siege combat and they have to be played in this row. Might think, why does it really matter? Well, it matters for multiple reasons. So this Commander's Horn will double the strength of all unit cards in the row, i.e. the ones that aren't yellow, they aren't heroes or specials. Obviously, I can only put that on one row, so I have to be mindful about which one I'm going to put it on, and if I'm planning ahead, plan on which cards I'm using, since there are 3 different types. Same thing, my leader card will automatically double the strength of, well, when I play it for that round, it will double the strength of all of my siege combat. So it would behoove me most times to put all of my siege combat in on the same game. Flip that around, if a weather effect is played, it's going to reduce the point value of all of the cards on that row for both players, by the way. So it's only going to affect those rows. So it affects a lot of strategy. That's why it matters which, which type they are. So now they're at 26 points, we're at 23. We again want to get ahead in points. We have these heroes, we can play them, they're worth a lot of points, but sometimes you might want to save them. Again, they're not affected by any negative status effects, they can't be removed from the board, etc. So, we want to get ahead in points. Now I'm going to demonstrate what this ability does technically on my next card. So I'm going to play that there and see it's only worth 5 points at the moment. So it added 5 points and now I've got 28. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the other one. And now see, since they've got this tight bond, when I play them again in the same round, then they're going to double each other's strength. If I had a third one and played it here, then each one would now be worth 15, etc. So it does scale. So now I'm well ahead of them in points. They've already passed the round, which means they can't play anymore. At this juncture, there's no reason for me to play any more cards because I would just be wasting them because I'm well ahead. Strategically, if I had maybe another spy, it might make sense to play since I'm so far ahead and not give them points in a future round, but right now the most sensible thing for me to do is pass because we have equal number of cards. I've got far more points, they can't play anymore. You don't necessarily want to pass prematurely because then they can come back on you in points. So I'm going to pass as well, because again, there's no benefit to me playing any more cards. It would be wasteful, since there are 2 more rounds to go. Now I only have to win one of the next 2, they have to win both of the next 2. Now also notice I'm a card ahead because I won that round. Again, I'm Northern Realms, and that faction's ability is each time you win a round, you get a card the next one. I didn't notice which one I drew, I think it was this one, but I'm not 100% sure. Now, since I won the round, I also go first. That's how that one works. It's a coin flip, or a virtual coin flip for the first round. After that, whoever wins the previous round goes first in the next round. So here we go with the next round. There's potentially some strategy as to how you lead, it just really depends. Right now I'm going to go with my lowest point value card just to see what they throw out there, and if they throw out something super high value, maybe I would have passed and just let them win the round. In this case... Oh, they resurrected a spy. Well, that's unfortunate. Again, what that one means, they're a medic, so they can resurrect a discard. Again, you don't want to play that in round 1 because you haven't discarded anything. So they resurrected one of the spies that was discarded and played it again, so now they got another 2 cards. Which gave me the 4 points, incidentally. Now, just for the sake of tutorial, I can turn around and do the same thing because I have a medic and I have multiple spies in my hand from the last one. Now I'm going to go ahead and play that one because again it's only giving him 1 point and I'm getting 2 cards, so again that's the best spy I have to play. Notice I can't play the spy that was worth 0 that they played on me because again it was a hero, so not subject to being, resurrected by the medic or anything. Now again I'm a card ahead again, and I'm also... We're on fairly equal footing point-wise. I'm a point ahead rather, so, may as well be even. So, since I know I've got... Well, actually, I don't have my command or my leader card anymore, so I can't double this unless I use the commander's horn, so what I was about to say is irrelevant. So now I can play kind of what I want, because again, I can lose this round and then just win the next one and still win the whole game. So I'm going to play out one of my heroes. Just to get a decent lead going on, mainly just to get the 10 points out there. So now they've literally tied us, no big deal there. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna jump ahead a lot. I think I'm just gonna kind of go ahead and win this round. Again, I'm not really worried if I win this game or not for the purposes of the tutorial, but again, I'm going to demonstrate what some of the cards do. So he's put the commander horn there, so it's going to double the strength of any unit cards in that row. So he's going to want to play all of his siege units now to take advantage of that. what I'm gonna do is, again, they've got this handshake, which means the tight bond. So now that I've played both of those in the same row, instead of 8, they're both worth 16. And now notice he played a hero there. So heroes do have some downsides. Again, you can't resurrect them for one, and they aren't going to be doubled by that commander's horn, so it's just still only worth the 10 points. So I'm still actually well ahead. So now it's, again, a decision of what do I want to play next. I'm going to choose to play this card for no particular reason. Well, a little bit of a reason. Okay, so now this is a different type of special card. If you right-click, you can look at their cards. So, this will destroy the enemy's strongest close combat units if the combined strength of all of his or her close combat units is 10 or more. So it's still a unit card, but it has a secondary ability. Now, since my total close combat was only worth 8, it did nothing other than give them their 7 points. So it's kind of a silly time for them to use that card, but they did it nonetheless. And again, if this gets over 10, since they've already played the card, it won't retroactively, it won't then go and destroy something. It has to be above 10 when they play the card, which is nice for me. And I'll demonstrate that now. See. Whereas if they had played that card after I had already done that, then it would have destroyed that card. And so he resurrected another spy, got some more cards in his hand. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and play my other spy. I'm sorry, not spy. Play my other hero. And so is he. Now I'm going to get into nominal strategy here. I'm still 20 points ahead, and I'm 1 card down. But again, I've already won one, so I can lose a round and be fine. So strategically, I'm going to pass. And now they're presented with the opportunity to play enough cards to get ahead of me and win the round, or pass and lose the round, in which case they're not going to do because I will win the entire game because they will have lost 2. Now, by doing this, I don't really care if I win the round because they're burning through so many of their cards to actually get ahead of me. Oop, they had another spy. But see, they're still down to only 3 cards in their hand, all to beat me, whereas I still have 5. So to me, that's a fair trade-off. So again, this is a basic one, but I'm getting into a little bit of strategy because we've gone over the basics. So now it'll kind of make some more decisions make sense. So now this is the 3rd round, we both won 1. Now this is all or nothing, whichever one of us wins the whole game. And I retained my commander's horn so I can double the strength of one of my rounds. Now this is interesting, they've already passed and it's round 3. What that likely means, either the computer's being foolish because there won't be a round 4, or they've got nothing worth any points in their hand, so they've just gone ahead and passed. Interesting choice on their part, but... So now I just need to put enough points on the board to win. I have, just in case I'll play one more. And now I will pass, because there's no point in playing all of my cards. Now I've won the round. And now I've won the game because best 2 out of 3 wins. So again, there we have it. There is a full game of Gwent. Now you know what all of the deck abilities mean, what leader cards are, what the different types of cards are between specials, heroes, and unit cards, and that the unit cards have some special abilities based on their designation, where they can go, and other neutral cards like weather and decoys. So there is a basic Gwent tutorial for you. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it informative and helpful. It helps you better understand the game, whether it's so you can go ahead and play on your own, or just so you can be less confused watching it and have more enjoyable time when you're watching somebody else playing the game. Now you know what's going on and it won't be so confusing. So again, I really do hope you enjoyed that. If it was helpful and you enjoyed it, please do give a like. If you haven't already, also subscribe to my channel and click that bell notification. That way you get notified anytime I go live or post another video like a tutorial or one of my Let's Plays. And I do go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, again on Saturdays at 10:15 a.m. Pacific and 1:15 p.m. Eastern. I also post Let's Play videos, currently doing Control Let's Play. I do that every day other than Saturdays. I do take that day off of the Let's Plays since the streams tend to be a bit longer. Currently doing Let's Plays series on Control Ultimate Edition, and currently live streaming The Witcher 3. Links to both of those playlists down in the description. Again, if you found this helpful, let me know in the comments. If you thought it could have done a better job or explained something better, also explain that down in the comments. If everyone likes this and thinks it was helpful, or if enough people do, I will make a more advanced one with some more strategy and getting into really how to play and win the game, not just the basics of how to play. So if you would like to see that, again, throw that down in the comments as well, please. Or if you wouldn't like to see that, I guess let me know as well, because I am going to base this on my viewers' feedback. If you want another video, I will do another one. If you don't, then I won't. But again, thank you for watching, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day, night, afternoon, evening, whatever it happens to be for you, wherever you happen to be and whenever you happen to be watching this. I hope you stay safe and healthy out there. Take care, and thank you.